Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for bearing with us as we enter this new digital age and we have hybrid meetings. Sometimes we do have technical issues, but thankfully we're able to resolve them and still have both in-person and virtual options. You can always stream this meeting on YouTube. That's what we were trying to fix to make sure everyone was able to stream and we would have a recording. So thank you for your patience. We're going to go ahead and get started now. Welcome to our full board meeting, Wednesday, October 19th. It is, what time is it? 6:08. We're getting started at 6:08 p.m. and we're going to go right into our public hearing agenda for this evening, starting with the NYC Racial Justice Commission ballot proposals presentation. And I believe we have Joe Rivera on with us this evening from the commission.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me for 1 second, please. Sorry about that. Screen two. Bear with me a few seconds, folks. I apologize for the wait. Okay, let me try this one more time. There we go. Perfect. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joseph Rivera. I also go by Joe Rivera. I am the Director for Outreach and Engagement over at the Racial Justice Commission. And so the Racial Justice Commission came to fruition in the protest of 2021. And then Mayor de Blasio and many other community members felt that this is the correct time to really dive in and look at and try to dismantle the systemic racism that's going on in the city. And it came up that the best way to move forward in that way is to add some changes to our city charter, which is our city constitution. And so we are a charter revision commission, and we are tasked with educating New Yorkers on our 3 ballot proposals. So our commission consists of 11 commissioners. They are Jennifer Jones Austin, who is our chair, and Vice Chair Henry Garrido. And our 3 ballot proposals came to fruition through countless community input sessions throughout the city. Actually, one of our first community input sessions happened in the borough of Staten Island. And from there, national scholars from around the country, elected officials, city employees came to our input sessions, which are in person and virtual, to give input on how they would like, what type of proposals they would like to see put forth for our Charter Revision Commission. And so the first ballot proposal that was considered was adding a statement of values to guide government. And so what this means is New Yorkers are going to have an opportunity to add a preamble to our city charter, which is our constitution. And so currently our city charter does not have one, like many other cities does, like our US Constitution has a preamble on how we want New Yorkers to be treated. And the preamble is essentially just an introductory statement of values and vision. And so it takes into effect of how stolen land was taken from the Lenape tribe, which is an indigenous tribe here, that the African slave trade, to really focus on the past harms done, recognizing them, and then moving forward and recognizing how we want New Yorkers to be treated, all New Yorkers. So that's ballot question number 1. Essentially, actually, our commissioners, once they started digging a little bit deeper into this exact question, were actually quite surprised, like many New Yorkers are, when I speak to them about that. Our New York City charter does not have one. And so this is considered our aspiration question, essentially how we want New Yorkers to be treated and respected, recognizing past harms and present harms as well. Ballot question number 2 is to establish a racial equity office, plan, and commission. This one is a little more, you can say, meatier, right? And so what it would do is, if New Yorkers do vote for this, a racial equity office will be put into effect. And so that office would ensure, first off, it will have a CEO, a chief equity officer, to advance the racial equity and coordinate the city's racial equity planning process, right? And so every 2 years, the office will come up with a plan and make sure that all New York City agencies are coming up with a plan every 2 year, focusing on racial equity. And every 2 years, a plan must be submitted to the office and the commission. The commission will consist of 15 commissioners. 5 of them will be selected by the mayor, but it will consist that everyone, it will consist of all 5 boroughs. So it'll be a representation of one person per each borough. Public advocate would also go ahead and choose a commissioner, city public advocate, city council as well. And also one of the commissioners would represent the interest of New Yorkers 25 and younger, because we believe that the interest of younger New Yorkers is not something that's really being taken into account. And this will give them a little bit of a little more say into what's going on in city government. And third, it would be the ballot question number 3, measuring the true cost of living. And so this was a question that came into be because many New Yorkers, as you know, is, for example, the rent is very high in New York City. The cost of living has gone up. When I was younger, we didn't really need internet or Wi-Fi, right? That's something that's new that young students and young New Yorkers need. Do homework to get by. So this question really here wants to focus on New Yorkers living with dignity and how we can make that happen instead of focusing only on surviving, right? Because we see here in New York City, everyone's essentially on survival mode. And so this will take into effect rent, healthcare, childcare, transportation, dependent care, Wi-Fi, cell phone bill, many things that we all need to, live comfortably in New York City. One quick tidbit is actually the federal government, federal poverty guidelines actually believes that between $24,000 and $26,000 that New Yorkers could live on that and support a family of 4. And so what this would, if New Yorkers do vote on measuring the true cost of living, this data will be collected and it would be aggregated data, collect that data and present it to city government and hold them to account to formulate a plan on how to address this. Because we see there's a lot of conversation going on about the true cost of living, the bloggers, the newspapers, New Yorkers on an everyday basis, but city government is really not addressing the true cost of living in this city. As I mentioned earlier, we are strictly a voter education campaign. Our goal essentially is to reach all 5.5 million registered New York City voters. However, strictly to educate, inform them on these ballot proposals. We cannot in any shape or form encourage people how to vote, right? But just allowing them to give them more information about what these ballot proposals are and what they can mean for their city. The language that you've seen in the proposals, how do you see them in the back of your ballot? We really put the work in to make sure that when New Yorkers go out there to vote, these ballot questions are digestible and something that they can read and truly understand and with confidence vote on them. Something that I, personally I've seen in the past where a lot of our ballot proposal questions are a little difficult to understand and not making sure, what you're essentially voting for. And so these are the 3 ballot proposals. We are always looking for more people to help us get out the word. We have a very robust program going on in New York City. We have 33 to 35 CPP awardees. Those are community partnership programs around New York City and all 5 boroughs that we're working with, so they can educate their community as well on these upcoming ballot proposals. Pretty soon, we're going to have a robust social media campaign, a media campaign. You all should be seeing more signs and commercials and things on the radio speaking about our ballot proposals that will be on the ballot come November 8th. And so with that, I'll take any questions that anyone has.
Thank you. Any questions, board members? And there's also a question in the chat. Cassandra, I believe, has a question.
Yeah. So I'm reading it right now. So yes, on November 8th, actually early voting starts October 29th. These questions will be in the back of your ballot proposals. So we encourage all New Yorkers to flip their ballots and you will see them. There are 4 ballot proposals. 3 have been introduced by the Racial Justice Commission. There's also another ballot proposal regarding environmental protections that's statewide, but that doesn't stand with us. But quick tidbit is also that these are all three standalone proposals. However, they were created that they will work in cognizance with one another.
I see. And my second question is just about like the second part of the ballot proposal. And I was wondering if like, since each of the city agencies would have to develop a plan, like would the plans like, are the plans required to have like concrete goals that have to be met in the 2-year period? And then like, would there be like a way to like measure it against baseline?
Yes, yes. So we're going to collect if this office is created, they will collect aggregated data specific not to just race, but ethnicity and gender and neighborhood focus, right? And for example, if you'd say DCAS, right? When they put out their plan, they will have to show their budget, how much are they putting in specific communities, right? And so really making sure that it's hyper focused on racial equity and that data is collected and it will be public so for New Yorkers can see what their city agencies are doing and what planning they're doing, what money and funding they're creating for specific communities, and making sure that equity is on the forefront for all these agencies that are running in New York City. And I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
A quick question, I just want to ask. Is that only for city agencies or is that included nonprofits and organizations that can apply for funding or I'm not sure exactly if this is going to be funded only through the justice agency or is it going to be shared? I'm not sure like how that goes when they outsource the fundings to other organizations to help.
No, that's a good question. No, so these specific ballot proposals are for city government, right? The preamble, making sure that's added, measuring true cost of living. This is very specific guided towards city agencies and city government, right? To make sure that they're upholding, practicing what they preach to a certain degree. But it's really up to the racial equity office and also the other city agencies that when they are contracting CBOs, when they're contracting other vendors, that they're also practicing, racial equity in their workforce, and that's part of their mission.
Is there an expiration date in regards to the commission being processed and how long is going to be there, or if this is going to be a permanent?
And so the Racial Justice Commission, who I'm speaking on behalf of, our mandate ends November 8th. We're a charter revision commission. Commissions tend to not to last very long. However, if the Racial Equity Office Planning Commission is voted on, it will be running into effect and will probably be running up in 2 years. And I hope that answers your question on that one.
In 2 years.
Correct.
And I also have a question. As the smallest independent autonomous agencies, community boards are often faced with limited resources and capacity. Would they also be required to submit this report, right? And would they have any support in doing so, given our limitations?
So all city agencies will be supported with their plan, right? It's something that we've recognized that this is not something that can be done overnight, and there will be guidance on how these plans will come to fruition. So this is not something that we expect all agencies to be ready to jump on day one. Guidance will be provided to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I see Melissa Corral. Solana.
Thank you, Celeste. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So my question is just around working in partnership with agencies. From your presentation, you mentioned that you had a statement of values, and this is how you're hoping to approach the work with an equitable lens. My question is, in partnership with all the city agencies, how are they implementing this? Because to my understanding, I don't believe they have something around racial equity written within their guidelines or the way that they're working. So how are you really ensuring that agencies, and there's a lot of gaps with agencies with the city right now, to ensure that this is actually happening and that you're actually saying that you're doing what you're signing up for and holding them accountable and holding each other accountable.
No, definitely. So these proposals haven't been voted on as of yet, right? So if New Yorkers do decide on voting these proposals, this is New York City law now. So the agencies have to follow city law and include racial equity, make sure racial equity is a focal point in the work that they're doing in their plans. And those plans, the data they collect, whatever, for example, the budget allocation, that will be public information, and racial equity should be and would be on the forefront. And so how we would, make sure that city agencies are doing these things, that's what the commission would be. That's what the office would be as an oversight to make sure that city agencies are actually practicing this, right? Because currently right now, racial equity, in our opinion, isn't being a hyper focus in all city agencies across the city.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just curious of how much is this commission in regards to income, on how long? I know it hasn't been established, but what is the phase in regards to the money wise? Because I know the commission is not working for free, right? Neither is the staff. Where I just need to know, more or less the money wise.
Do you mean the Office Planning Commission when New York is voting it, or the current commission that's going on now? Because I wouldn't be able to answer and both of those questions, to be completely honest. I'm not privy to other team members' salary, right? And also in regards to the Office Planning Commission, that office hasn't been voted on as of yet, so the exact budget isn't available.
Well, that's fair to say, but we're reinventing the wheel. We have communities that are doing that as of now, and off the top of our head know what we need and what is unjust. So, we reinventing the wheel, and someone's getting paid for something that the community boards have been doing all their lives. So I just don't understand, why are we inventing the wheel and creating more commissions? When community boards and people that are in this community know this, how we have been disenfranchised and continue to be disenfranchised. So I know, money, and we're in bad shape as it is. So more commissions and more big bosses that get big dollars to be commissioners. So we have boards that are really trying to do what they can, what they have, and we don't see nobody bringing no money to the community boards, and there are 18, and we really need the services more than ever now. So I can do a commission myself, and I don't need to be a commissioner.
Noted. So in regards to reinventing the wheel, the Mayor's Office of Equity, which is a standing office right now, if the Racial Equity Office Planning Commission does come into effect, it won't be reinventing the wheel. We would absorb that office to help them start getting, trajecting and guiding the work. So we actually do have the Major Office of Equity. If New Yorkers do decide to vote on that specific plan, we would absorb that office and start building up from there. And I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. Ann Guiney?
Sorry about that. So one question, and just full disclosure, actually Camacho and I both participated a while ago in the Racial Impact Analysis Coalition, which I know is related to some of this. So, but I think what the question I wanted to ask is about AMIs, area median incomes, which, as Camacho was saying, I think in a different way, money is a real issue, and equity around money and how city money is distributed is a huge problem. What comes up in Bushwick constantly is that affordable housing is out of reach for the vast majority of people who live in Bushwick. They don't make enough money to qualify for affordable housing, which just explodes your brain when you think about it. And so I believe that the, Bushwick, which is still majority Black and Brown, the AMI for Bushwick is at least, I think it's like 45% of the city's citywide AMI. And so would this commission, and would the city agencies be able to, for example, each not feeling great, so I'm a little brain is jangled, but would something like AMIs be able to be adjusted in light of this, or qualifications? I know that those are federal programs, but would the city be able to use this knowledge, and city agencies responsible for housing be able to compensate for that because of the huge disparity between what people in Bushwick make and what people in the 5 boroughs plus Westchester make?
No, that's a really good point. I would be lying to you if I was to say this is the steps city government is going to take once this plan is instituted, right? So measuring true cost of living will collect data points, right? Aggregated data to see how are people being paid, city workers are being paid in that specific community, the price of living, right? And then formulate a plan from there. So it could be a possibility that the city will, maybe institute a plan to adjust AMI, which I think would be very difficult, but it's a federal guideline. But I would be amiss to tell you that this is the way city government will be addressing this, because right now we're not really collecting any data, to be completely honest, in terms of city government. The cost of living in the city, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of pontificating, everyone's discussing it, it's on the blogs and the newspapers. But as many people in this call know, in this country and in the city, if we're not collecting data, we're not really going to address these issues. So this is where, in a way, it's like a first step, and we don't believe with these ballot proposals we're going to solve inequity and systemic racism, but we see it as a foundational reset for city government to help guide us into the right place. And so, it could be something that the city comes up with in a plan, but right now we're focusing on just educating New Yorkers to see if this is something they want to see moving forward. And I hope that answered your question.
Thanks.
Last call. Any questions, comments, anything in the chat? Okay. Seeing none, that concludes this public hearing item. Thank you so much, Joseph, for joining us this evening.
No, sure. Thank you so much for everyone having me here. I will put the link in from our website here in the chat. We have a resource page where you can actually download our final report and get some more information about the Racial Justice Commission. And we're always looking for people to volunteer and help us spread the word. So thank you all, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. All right, we will keep moving now with our second public hearing item this evening. As board members know, this is our budget season. I hope everyone else is also familiar. We've really been diversifying our district needs engagement this year. We'll go right into our CB4 annual budget meeting overview. And soon we'll have the budget register for the current fiscal year up in one moment. So we won't be going through all of the requests. Those that attended the meeting are familiar with this sheet. Just to let folks know that are on joining in Zoom and in person this evening that aren't familiar with the budget meeting. Every year, the board is required to submit a statement of community district needs that also includes budget requests. What you see here are the budget requests that the board submitted for the current fiscal year. So we're right now in fiscal year 2023. And what was reviewed and reprioritized is for the next fiscal year, 2024, which begins on July 1st. So every year we read through all of these requests. We decide if something has been satisfied, it'll be removed, perhaps it'll be amended, but the majority of the requests stay mostly the same because, as you know, with certain city projects, it takes time. It can take years, in particular for capital projects to come to fruition. Just another point of clarification on the board's role. This is all advisory, right? So we are advising local elected officials, we are advising city agencies of what is needed. In particular, these budget requests, they go straight to two entities, the Office of Management and Budget, and also the Department of City Planning. And then those two agencies work together to make sure that the agencies that are noted for each request receive the information and are able to respond. There have been concerns this year and in the past that some of the agency responses are not helpful, but we continue to try to work with them to make the most of this process. And so with that being said, I will go ahead and summarize the first few requests, starting with the first one, which I'm not able to see from this far away, the screen, but I know that the first one is regarding housing In particular, deeply affordable housing, as Anne was just mentioning, most of the housing that we see in Bushwick that is called affordable is out of reach. It is at 130% AMI. Projects that are below 60% AMI have been identified in the past as needed within the community. The second item is also senior housing. And for those vulnerable New Yorkers, so formerly homeless, noting that those are distinct types of housing that aren't always created. There is a requirement for homeless populations within every project now for new affordable housing, but senior housing is not required in every project. And just as an example as well, so we put these here, but what do they look like on the other side? It's always great when we can say that our requests are getting through to the agencies and they're able to allocate funding working with our elected officials. Just as an example, we have the NYCHA Seniors First project. So that is going to be senior housing. It's literally right across the street from where we are now. The community board was contacted by the developer and their team earlier this year for an update. They were able to share their plan. For more information, you can contact the board's office. They also requested specifically for a community space within that site to be available for free to the community, whether it's for a block association meeting, a sports league meeting, whoever can request to use it. That was brought to the Department of Housing Preservation and Development. The Community Board's Housing and Land Use Committee recommended support, came to the full board. The recommendation, the vote moved, the motion was carried, and we now have a building that will have community space. So that is from A all the way to Z, and it only took 3 years. So moving on, I believe the third item on the list, Kim, can you help me out? All right, so yes, so the third one is for Broadway. Anyone that's been on Broadway recently knows that it looks rough. And it's looked that way for maybe 40, 50 years. And so what we've done since last year, because this request was in the same position, is we've contacted our fellow community boards nearby on the border, Community Board 3 in Bed-Stuy and Community Board 16 in Ocean Hill, Brownsville. We made sure that we all share that priority. And we were able to then convene a larger meeting with the Department of Transportation and all of our elected officials from Board 4, Board 3, Board 16, and ask what's it going to take for us to do Broadway. And the commissioner, after the team looked into it, we said 3 things: fully reconstructing the roadway, a traffic safety improvement project, and then the last one was in the interim, because we know that those 2 projects are going to take a long time. Are there any intersections that could benefit from investment, while we wait for larger funds to come through? So those 3 things, the total cost is $100 million. That is what we were told. And so what happens now? We've been working specifically with Councilmember Nurse, Councilmember Gutierrez, and our colleagues at Boards 3 and 16 have been speaking to their elected officials, and we will now start advocating to make that a priority. $100 million, that's at least 10 years. But again, that is how we take a request the board is making, and we try to make it a reality in this district, and it takes all of us to make the most of that process.
And also our assemblywomen and our assembly persons that want to put money into Broadway, because Broadway ain't seen nothing since 1977, the blackout. So we want to make sure that we lighten it up, bring it back to where it used to be, where we can get jobs back for our youth that really need it, where we can come back and have the Broadway that we used to have back in the days, where all these department stores, just like Knickerbocker, just like Wyckoff, just like Myrtle, just like Ridgewood. So that area there really needs a lot of TLC. So I know that our assemblywomen and our assemblymen, and they all want to get together and see what we can do to put this money together to make sure that Broadway gets its fair share.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. More information will be available on the Transportation Committee. I see we have a question. So yeah, I can respond. My next note was on the MTA's infrastructure. So as part of Broadway, we know that the JZ, right, is also decrepit, is falling apart. And we also know that there are issues with lead paint. So when we had this meeting, the MTA was included along with DOT, and they told us that they're waiting for that contract specifically for the JZ to be awarded. And it should be shortly. So they were predicting summer, it was stalled, but hopefully we'll get a better response. And then as it relates to the M, which we know is coming down from Ridgewood in Queens, it was delayed because of the pandemic, because of issues with workers, but we know it's moving again and should hopefully be here. I don't know, we would have to get clarification on seasonal work. We don't know if there's a pause when it gets colder. I imagine there is, but we can ask for confirmation. It's still in progress.
Just a quick about opening up both sides of the train.
Yes, they have been, but what's going on is now in regards to the funding to get someone to open it, or some of these places has to be accessible for ADA accessible. So we're not too sure what's going on. I know in some projects they're adjacent. Let's say, for instance, if you're close to a department store, and they can make a bridge where you can go into the department store and go into the elevator and come inside to the train station. So what they're trying to do is get square footage from the development site to create higher density, but also give us an elevator so they can go up to go to the other side. So I know we sat down with MTA and they were trying to see what they can do along some of these corridors that do have two entrances, where it's enough space for they can do those elevators to have accessible to some of these places.
But in the meantime, the congestion with having hordes of people come out one way, and trying to get on the train is not working. I mean, is it how long?
Well, we've been fighting this. This board has been fighting this forever, and every time they came up, it was an excuse that we don't have no one for that side. They started making the rails that you go through before you used to come through. I know the areas very well. I've been here on like DeKalb, Chauncey, Gates, Halsey, all those places I know very well because I get a list and I know everyone that wants it. I don't know if we can find out if there is, to speak to the elected officials and find out what we can do now, but that's something that we can talk.
Can exit, because everybody's coming and getting on at the same time.
So, and this is something we've been hearing, right, for, as Mr. Camacho stated, for a long time, and we're only seeing it get worse because we're seeing population increase across the neighborhood. So if you think, some folks may remember Brighton Broadway, the project with EBC High School, that was one of the main asks that the students had. And the MTA said the same thing. They said, we're gonna need to, put this, essentially it has to have capital funding for them to be able to open those other entrances to make them ADA accessible. The MTA's capital plan is available online. It does not include I think there's 2 stations close to Bushwick. One, I believe, is the Jefferson L. The other is Broadway Junction. Other stations that are receiving attention right now include the Flushing Avenue elevator, but they have not noted any of the other stations along the JZ. This is why we're here tonight. This is what we need to know.
Not ADA accessible now, so.
And they're required by law to make them ADA accessible before they reopen them. And that's the issue. In order for them to do that, they need the capital funding. But this is important for us to hear, right? Because we've been saying the same thing, and the board's recommendations are only as strong as what the community is saying. So thank you.
Yes, so we all together, we echo all your concern because we have been in the forefront since the beginning. Believe me, you'll be surprised. I could take you back into 2000. 2013, 2000. So it's the same thing. So we're going to make sure that we fight for these services and in the train, because we got in DeKalb, which she was talking about, you had EBC, you had 274, you have the library, you have District 32, Bushwick leadership that now they moved out to Ridgewood because they're fixing it. So we're going to have more and more youth and all these things coming in. So we really need to get together to make sure that we get our fair share, because I know when you go other places, it's beautiful, isn't it? The train station, you go to Astoria, I go there all the time, the doctor's office, you should see that, it's beautiful, but with glass and everything, and when you come over here to the road, you don't see that. So we want to make sure we get our fair share.
All right, Stephanie?
Yes, I just wanted to say that, just to reiterate that, over near Gates Avenue, they're building large buildings, especially one right near the entrance, on the corner of Linden and Broadway. And so there's going to be a lot of traffic there. I just wanted to add that in.
Thank you.
And that's as of right. You're talking about 14 stories. With cars in the back, and that place is gonna be, so get ready.
All right, moving on to the next, we have two more. Kim, if you can just let me know which two. Thank you. All right, so Kim was just reading off a few of them that are on the list. Every year when these are reordered, sometimes some of them change. So the fourth item on this list for last year is for street trees and specifically street pruning. The pruning contracts right now, the standard is every 7 years. So if your block, let's say, was pruned 2022, they're not going to be back till 2029. If things go to plan. So of course, every year we say that that's not sufficient. We get a lot of requests. There are instances where they'll come out and do emergency pruning if it is threatening. So if it's a dangerous limb, if it's touching property, although it's been complicated because of a lot of other nuances, specifically with the contractors this year, it is still on the list, but this was moved to expense, not capital.
And also we know areas that really are in bad shape, like Woodbine between Evergreen and Central, all those homes, and there's a lot of seniors there and it's dark, even with the lights that they have in front of their building. So we really need to, and there's been several issues. I guess the commanding officer will speak in regards to us doing a walkthrough when it's late at night, because we're supposed to be doing a walkthrough to make sure that I have a video, but we want to make sure that they need to be pruned. Not only because of that, also we had a senior contact me that because of this heavy rain and they aren't pruning the trees moved over and raised the concrete slabs in front of the buildings. We're talking about seniors that have been here 30, 40 years, and now their insurance elapsed and won't give them the insurance because they have a tripping hazard. So now the senior has a home, this is what I just don't understand, has a home that has no insurance and she burns down, or God forbid something happens, they're moving out, and guess what? Now the city will get this big development to take a two-family home and convert a 15-story, and now they can fix the sidewalk. But yet, this senior that's on a fixed income and needs help, no one's there, and the city says, pay $7,000 to fix the sidewalk. And she says, that's not my fault. I didn't request to put that tree there. Now she has to get an attorney, and she got no money because she's in a fixed income. I need to know, how is that fair?
For anybody in that position, there is a program through the Parks Department. It's the Trees and Sidewalks Program. You can go on to their website for more information. If you need assistance getting the information, you can always contact the board's office as well, 718-628-8400 or BK04. at cb.nyc.gov. Can you drop that into the chat just in case? But again, that's the Trees and Sidewalks program that's specifically for any of the concrete squares that are affected by roots. So property owners are still responsible for the ones that are not. They will send an inspector to come out to see who is responsible for what. So we'll keep moving on. I'm going to summarize the next few and then I'll speak to them. The Maria Hernandez Comfort Station, the restroom within Maria Hernandez Park is also on there, is number 5. Repair streetlights, specifically adding lights under the MTA's infrastructure along the JZ, the M as well, I imagine. And then new expansion of the children's play area in Irving Square Park. So those round out, I think, just under the top 10. Some of them have been reordered depending on priorities for this year and what seems more feasible. In terms of streetlights, that request has been on the budget request for years. Often it is a more complicated issue because it isn't as though DOT just goes out to put a streetlight. But I have, just from memory, board members of the public have contacted us and have had issues getting lights restored quickly. I believe it's taken an entire summer for one light recently on Woodbine, if I'm not mistaken, to be restored, but thankfully that was taken care of. And then, of course, folks that know Irving Square Park know that the board has had a pending request for enhancing and improving the children's play area, including a toddler play area. And the council members, all of our elected officials are made aware of these requests every year. So we'll pause here. This is just an overview, a little bit about the work that we do to both frame these requests and how we follow up. But now I will open the floor to board members and members of the public. If there is anything you would like to request, whether it be a budget request item, whether it be more information about an item we mentioned, now is the time to do so. Yep, go ahead. Okay, Renisha, I believe, and then we have Stephanie afterwards.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just watching you all in person. I'm like, I'm on Zoom. Okay. So I didn't get an opportunity to make it out to the town hall meeting, which was so unfortunate. But I do my best to advocate and just bring my community in so many different areas I represent. Most importantly, or primarily for myself, District 32, School District 32, and more specifically, 45. So I know that our school, more specifically 45 on Chatham, the Horace E. Green School, middle school, elementary and middle school, has been in close encounters with our council and just district and all. They're doing amazing, and we want to do better. But there was a conversation about our pre-3K. Our state has opened up the 3K, so we have 3K in our school right now, and we also merged District 32 administration into the annex building. So it moved our babies over into the main school. And so we have a space that's connected to the Evergreen Play Park. But we need some updates and upgrades, right? To make sure that our pre-K, 3K, and all of our children are learning through play, right? Because you can learn through play, hands-on. So I do apologize if it was something covered or not covered. So I wanted to make sure that you do know about our need at 45. And that's just one on the list, right? So we definitely looking for a green rooftop, hydroponics. We looking to upgrade through STEM and STEAM. We definitely still need our athletic abilities as well. We don't have those type of programs. We need more music, but more specifically, our babies are now in our school and we need that space, which is capital, right? It's foundation. So we need some funds, and I'm hoping that CB4 can back us up on that, put us on the list. If we're on the list, thank you. If we're not on the list, squeeze us in or just put us at the top in bold letters. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to share.
And I know that you're gonna bug us, but we're gonna try to do our best. I know you will.
Thank you so much, Mr. Camacho, and to your team. Look, I can't do it. We're everywhere because Mr. Camacho and your team is everywhere. I see you everywhere. We're everywhere. I'm everywhere. And I'm hoping to be as many places as I can. But I definitely want 45 to be on that list. and make sure that our children and our babies, we're diverse and we're getting the resources and the tools like everyone else in this community is. We got the condos and the penthouse and our cafes, you know, Maria Hernandez Park, Irvin Square Park. We want the dog park. We want all of these beautiful things for our community. It starts with our babies because 10, 15, 20 years from now, they will be the adults here and we want them to be functioning 100%. And then that means we need that play park for our babies. Thank you.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right? Teamwork makes the dream work.
You know it. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for allowing me the time.
Thank you. That was perfect. I have Stephanie and then I have Jillian next. Stephanie?
Yes, around 4 or 5 years ago, my husband and I really pushed for maybe a year and a half to get the street on Bushwick Avenue paved. And we went through Mr. Reynoso's office, and he made that come true and even more. But now there are potholes and there are even sinkholes. Now I'm going to report those sinkholes to the Department of Transportation. But is there any way that there could be more done for, I mean, I'm going to do what I see, but is there any way to do more to secure that? Because I mean, that sinkholes just get bigger and bigger, and I don't want someone to fall.
Location, please send them to us and we'll follow up. I'll make sure I take pictures and send them to the board and make sure that we get someone out there.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, Jillian, I believe is next.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. This is my first community board meeting. Happy to be here. I live on Covert Street, and a lot of the residents on Covert Street have been talking about the rat situation. And I'm sure this has been brought up before in this community board, but the rats are out of control to the point where residents and buildings are getting tickets and fines just for having a few rat droppings around. And I've never heard of that before, but the rats, I mean, you can't walk down the street without stepping over dead or alive rats. Yeah, I'm just not sure kind of where to go on that. There was a suggestion to talk about this to the community board and maybe get some advice.
All right, so yes, one of the hot topics in Bushwick after sanitation and garbage is rats. So of course the city has limited tools, right? You know, this summer we hosted a Rat Academy workshop. We know that the Department of Health has stepped up their fine process. We're hearing about that. But what else is the city doing? I don't know if anyone else saw the press blitz of the Department of Sanitation earlier this week on Brian Miller on the mayor's Instagram. So they have decided to change when folks put out their garbage, in the hope that that will somehow deter, right, and discourage rats from having access to food for a longer period of time. We have to see how that works, right? You know, there are suggestions, and I see Ms. Spellman, you have something?
They're also considering making it mandatory for homeowners to get different types of garbage bins and to put the garbage out in the bins rather than in the bags on the street.
There's more, and Ben, you have something?
Yeah, I don't need a mic. They're like just composting.
Yes, for those that didn't hear, one of our board members, Ben, mentioned that composting is also important. It takes food out of the trash, and that's actually something that's been referenced. They just finished rolling out Queens-wide. I think they collected 1 million pounds, was it pounds of garbage within the first run through in Queens of compost specifically, which are your fruit and vegetable scraps that they turn into fertilizer for plants. Someone else have something?
Felix Rayos. Also, I hear the city going to try to put mandatory schedule for take like Celeste mentioned put the garbage out and going to be a specific time. And I think they're going to help a lot because, for example, in my area, I see is no control now. We can see we don't see a lot of rats now in the zoo. And if we continue to work together, I think we're going to get a very good result.
I'm not sure if the funding is still available for those new trash cans that they were providing that to some of the homeowners and some of the community. I'm not sure if that program is still available.
So right now, anyone that takes a RAD Academy workshop, we would have to verify with the Department of Health, but to my knowledge, we were able to do this over the summer. You will get one garbage can per participant for whoever takes the RAD Academy. They have them in person and virtual. You can ask the office for more information or go online to Department of Health's webpage. All right, so yep, we have someone in the back. Questions, and then we have one more. Did you have something? Just hold on for the mic for 1 moment, please. Oh, to the back. Yeah.
Just to be, don't be repetitive, but to go back to the rat infestation, it just so happens I was downtown today by Clinton Street, and there's a high school there, a school, and then just that one block area, I saw 4 boxes, the little black boxes for the rats, and I have been calling 311 for months now on Woodbine, Evergreen Central, and I have gotten no response. And also, what would be the purpose of me now that I learned that it's every 7 years for the pruning? I've been calling again 311. How effective is that for me? Just keep calling?
So 2 things there. So with the rats in the black boxes, the first thing that everyone should know, when you call the city in reference to the rats, they will come out, and if a property owner, if they inspect, they find evidence of rodents, they will issue basically a warning that they have to correct a condition. If there's failure to correct them, they will issue a violation, a fine, and then they will put the abatement measures in place. So the city is not bring the boxes. They encourage property owners, of course, to mitigate and exterminate their property. So there's something to be mindful of, for property owners in particular, so that way you don't call 311 on yourself. But just in general, that's one. And then in reference to the trees, it's a difficult situation because this is the contract that Parks has. The only way that we're going to change that is if we work with our elected officials to improve either the timing or we get more contractors to minimize that time. But it takes prioritizing it and making sure that our electeds know it's a priority when they're talking to the parks during our budget hearings. We've been saying it year after year. We need to reinforce it and we need community support for it. So I'm happy to hear that more people want to see this. I wouldn't want to call 311 over and over and over. The only thing they use that for though is for data. So that's something to keep in mind. It may be frustrating, but at the end of the day, the city has to look at that and they have to respond. So if they're looking at that data and there's 100 requests on Woodbine, that's telling you something right there. If we don't request it, we just give up. There's no data. There's no problem, right? So, and you have Noel, and then you have someone else. And then Ms. Jackson, I have you, Ms. Jackson. You're going to go next.
Concerning the rats, I gave all my neighbors that booklet that that the Rat Academy gave us, and I don't say we don't have them, but we don't have them like we used to, because I stress, you need to put covers on your garbage pail. You need to not just throw your bags out. So they've been a little more cautious or concerned about how they do their garbage. So that block, they need to see how they're putting out their garbage. If they don't have any food to eat, they're gonna go somewhere else. So if everyone you say you live on Culver Street, people need to have garbage pails with covers on them, where you need to double your bag, or if you're a tenant, don't just put your garbage bag out there like I see on a lot of blocks. You just put your bag out there. If the garbage doesn't come till Wednesday, why are you putting your bag out on Monday night? So they need to, be a little more concerned of how they put out their garbage too. That would help.
Thank you, Barbara. And we have two folks in person. Yep.
I was just curious if it's permissible with the pruning, if there was a local like group, is that permissible, Jerry? Is that legal to prune the trees yourselves if there was a group that wanted to do it or was able to?
It's a wonderful question, and also a good opportunity to let some of our board members be acknowledged for completing the Citizen Pruner course that was just offered, that was funded by Councilmember Nurse. So thank you to Councilmember Nurse and her team for that. That's those folks. I myself took the test yesterday, so hopefully, fingers crossed, I passed, and I will be pruning the trees that I can reach. So that
you're pretty big too, so you could be reaching a lot of trees.
So yes, to some extent, it's only for street trees, so the ones on the sidewalks, and these courses are offered by Trees New York. This was a private course that the council member subsidized, so it was only $15 for those that work or live within the district. There will be another course in the spring. It's going to be based in East New York. They did one in Bishop for the first round. She'll have another one in East New York. I highly recommend it to folks that really want to do more for the street trees that we can reach. It was very informative. I really enjoyed it. We were just outside of the Washington Irving Library last Friday, pruning some of the trees. It was a great experience, and I think it will help because it goes a long way into showing how much we care about this community, right? So thank you for that question. Next in person.
Hi, I'm also on the, I don't know what you guys call it, the 0 block of Covert Street between Broadway and Bushwick. And there is a supermarket on the corner, but the rat problem is out of control. I don't put trash out, and I have rats because they travel. And I've taken a class with sanitation. I've learned about how they travel. And yes, we can do better with maybe people trusting to put their garbage cans, unchain them and put them out on the curb and bring them back and forth. We can do that, but we do have a lot of multi-families there. So that is not always, an option, but it seems like a weak response to think that. I mean, I don't know if there are any areas in the city that are rat free. I don't know if there are any blocks on Bushwick that don't have this problem. So I don't know if sanitation has come here. I know you said that there's the Rat Academy and maybe there's resources with getting trash cans, but the rats are eating through my garden. I don't put trash out. I put it out and meet the sanitation people and give them my bag. I tell my tenants, don't put it out, but there's nothing that I can do. If 2 blocks away or 3 blocks away, the rats are traveling, so I'm not, and, I guess I'm glad Eric Adams is doing something. I'm not convinced that asking people, tenants and landlords to put their trash out at 8 o'clock, 4 hours after, they feed through the night. So I don't really think that that's a viable solution, but I appreciate, him saying so. So I just wanted to say that, but the tenants and homeowners on that block are really trying to figure out how to do something, and we need real solutions to it. If there's funds, the real solution is to have everything in cans and put out, but is there any evidence of other blocks that don't have this problem in this neighborhood?
So there are.
I'm sorry, can I just say one more thing? And then there just has been a large increase, like you said, of people getting ticketed up to $300 for rat droppings. I have rat droppings in my yard, but again, I do not put trash out. So what can I do?
What happens here is that we know they're building, they got them big buildings, but more than ever, what's happening now is more people, more garbage. And I see that the guys that clean the building, they go to all the buildings, the same person has 5 or 6 buildings. So he starts early. He don't put it out when he's supposed to put it out.
No.
They start at 11 o'clock, and I videoed them. They start at 11. They put the garbage out there 11. On Sundays, they put it out at 9. Remember, he goes through all the places, that same mop and that same broom he got, he lugs it in his car and he puts it in. I see them do it constantly all over. And they leave the garbage there. And when sanitation picks up the bag and it breaks, I don't see them sweeping behind it. So it stays there. So now that guy's got to come back 2 or 3 days later and everything blows on my side. Now I got to pick up the guy's stuff that was across the street. So these are things, what I do now is I take my can out and put the bag in the can and put the lid. But this morning, I saw sanitation pick up. But since I was so nice and put the lid, he didn't open the lid to take the bag out. So I wound up getting up at 3 a.m, put the bag in, I showed him it's in the can. So, you know, we really got to make sure that if we are doing it, that we're working together to make sure everyone on the block, because then they take your can and they take it to the following block over because you got to look for your can. Or they throw it in the street and then move on. So we got to watch them and make sure, you know, sometimes they don't know. And I go, hey, the bag is here. And now I tell him, this is where I live. This is where I put the bag. Everybody has it outside. And what I do is sweep the droppings every day because the inspector sees where they go and the rat goes that way. So you sweep the droppings off and then you clean it up with ammonia or something. And then, but you won't get a ticket. But unless they see it on that side, then they go, wait a minute, this is where the rats are, because they follow them.
And that's what everybody does. They're still out there.
Okay. We have Mr. Ceballos, and then I have a few comments.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Felix Ceballos. I'm the D3 leader in the D353. We have a huge problem about the rat, like the young lady was explaining. One of the situation is in our areas, there's a lot of construction, remodelation, and until they do that, I can say that because I see that in my area. There's a lot of rat around because when the building is start the way they are, when they come into work in the building, all the rat was living in the basement, and after that they come out and to the tree, and we have a big problem with that. But I don't know if they're doing in any area, but in my area, the inspection was around, and after that, they inspect every building, and after that, they send a letter to the owner, to everyone, and now I see a very good control, and I hope they do that in the whole area. But we had a situation. I hope the city continue to support us, because it's very hard what we have with the rat. And also I want to say, when Celeste talking about the tree in the sidewalk, I hope also they support us, because so many owners, they can fix the sidewalk. They don't have money for that. And we waiting for the city to pay attention on that and support us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ceballos. And just to summarize, you know, there's a perfect storm in Bushwick, right? We have a lot of development. We have a lot of garbage. You know, this is a prime, you know, breeding zone, feeding zone for rats. And this is something that you see citywide, but there are good examples. There are blocks in this community that do a good job, and everyone could stand to learn a little bit of something from someone. Ms. Jackson just mentioned on Moffett Street, things got better. Mr. Ceballos mentioned that some of the things that happened on Sedan made things better, you know, so little by little, there are other avenues for us to have these conversations in further length. We have a sanitation working group that started meeting in July 2020 to address, you know, what was happening when the funding was cut for sanitation during the pandemic. You know, that group's role is going to be shifting. It's going to be changing, but they'll be meeting the first Thursday of November at 5 p.m. Anyone is welcome to get involved. If you want to find out more, join our newsletter, contact the office. There will also be, we're pivoting, there will be a homeowners group, a Bushwick homeowners group this year. It's going to be evolving from our historic preservation working group to cover more issues. This may be one of those issues, right? If it keeps coming up, we want folks on Cornelia, on Covert, on, you know, Bleecker, on Menahan, every block that's involved, Hart Street, we still have active block associations in Bushwick. It's changed a lot. Some of the leaders no longer can lead, but this is an opportunity, right, for new folks to step up. Even if it's not as formal as it used to be, you can still have a conversation and benefit from it. So, I want to be mindful of time. This has been phenomenal. This is the kind of conversation we're looking for. So thank you for everyone for being here. And remember, save the date next year, same time, same place. We're going to be having this exact conversation. And there are other ways for you to provide feedback as well. It's not over. You can always submit any other budget requests to the board's office. You can complete this year's district needs survey. Don't worry if you did not attend the town hall last week. There'll be other opportunities to get involved. So thank you, everyone. And just want to make sure there are no final questions or comments on Zoom. Ms. Westbrook, again.
Thank you. Just a minute. Just in terms of the rat for covert, there's an issue on Evergreen, and I'm sure I can dial up to the CB4 and talk more about it. Right on Evergreen and Covert, there was a fire a few years ago, and there's some construction. It's an old deli, but then it's connected and it's owned maybe by the same person, not too sure, but it's been a dumping ground. And it's piled up right next to the city tree, beautiful tree, but unfortunately, it's a scary place to walk through. So we talking about a pile of trash, taller than I am. I'm not 6'5", right? But that garbage is reaching about 6 feet. I'm gotta be about 5'6". So you can't even walk through this. It's really scary because you can hear what the rats are going through. So that's that one issue I would love for someone to take a look at. The other thing is on Myrtle. I don't know if CB4 cover this area. Please stop me if you don't, but Myrtle and Gates Avenue, right by the Planet Fitness gym. Beautiful space, transit has been upgraded. It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful, it does. There's a lot going on there. There's fresh fruits being sold, which is awesome for the community, but there's dumping. CVS is there, Dunkin' is there, Starbucks is there. So these businesses are here to give us an upgrade in how we live, but the way they dealing with their trash, I'm appalled, right? Because I like to feel fancy and believe that I am fancy in my own way of definition. But I'm just saying, when you look out there, it's nasty. There was a time recently when I walked in, when I was up working out, that's TMI, right? Too much information. But people couldn't even get into the train station, walking past in that little area. And I had to go to CVS and say, hey, your garbage, what's going on? Anyway, I've noticed that's consistently, that garbage is nasty. Birds are there, rats are there, God knows what, medicine was laid out. Children are in that area. There's a school up the block. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. The other area is, my husband is in the background, but those are the two areas that we also, I just want to mention too, is that in our space, we can't tell people how to do with garbage, but block associations are important. And then there was one last thing, Rad Academy. So I know we need Rad Academy. That's what I was saying. Thank you, because I hear talking in the back.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Westbrook. So these are all perfect examples of what you can call the board's office for from 9 to 5. That is why we are here. So, but that being said, we will respond. Myrtle and Gates, we share that with Board 5 in Queens. So I will be calling my counterpart at Queens CB5 tomorrow, District Manager Gary Giordano. That's something we can, of course, address, but it'll be split. We only have the Brooklyn side. It's by the borough border. So we're going to have to get their assistance in getting the Queens sanitation, Queens folks involved as well. And then in reference to the deli, please send us some information to the board's office. I will see what we can get from folks that are close to there. 718-628-8400 or bk04@cb.nyc.gov. So we have to close out this item now. Thank you again, everyone. And we will be providing some follow-up information on all the events and activities we had as it relates to district needs later this month. That concludes our public hearing agenda this evening, and we will go right into our first roll call. Board members, this is now a regular meeting. Please be ready. Isa Abney.
Present.
Stephanie Anderson.
Present.
Grace Aites. Joanna Bennett. Joshua Brown is excused. Raul Brown.
Present.
Robert Camacho. Present. Felix Ceballos.
Present.
Andrew Kay is excused. Davis is excused. James Fitzgerald. Freddie Fowler. Joanna Fuentes. Christopher Graham.
Present.
Dr. Chris. Ann Guiney. Jose Guzman is excused. Hadia Harrison. Tanisha Honeygan.
Present.
Barbara Jackson.
Present.
Jones. Virgie- Oh, Cheryl, was that you? Virgie Jones? Got you, Cheryl. And Virgie as well? Okay. Oh, Virgie. Okay. Thank you. Got you, Virgie. Luisa Jose?
Here, present.
Thank you. Nicholas Kaplan? Webe Cote? Cassandra LeVay?
Here.
Mary McClellan? Imani Mitchell?
Present.
Desmond Monroe? Sammy Namir? Zuma Navoa?
Present.
Kyle O'Rourke? Asaya Polite?
Present.
Gladys Frulia? And Raul
Present.
Cruz? Alicia Ruiz?
Present.
I heard, okay, Raul is here. Okay, got it. Got both Raul and Eliseo. Milagro Sandoval is excused. Bernadina Shaw?
Present.
Barbara Smith?
Present.
Maria Select? Justin Sonborn?
Present.
Annette Spellin? James Stewart?
Present.
Leo Teneo? Benjamin Tucker? Gary Valentine?
Present.
Tashana Wade? Carlotta, oh, got you, Tashana. Carlotta Williams?
Present.
$30 board members present. That constitutes a quorum. Thank you, everyone.
Celeste, did you get me, Celeste?
I did. Thank you.
Celeste, did you get me, James Fitzgerald?
I did not.
Celeste, Melissa, I'm here as well. I didn't hear my name.
Got it. Okay, 32 present.
And the last one is Kyle. I'm here. Sorry, I was also on a call.
No problem. 30. Thank you, everyone, for letting us know. 33 present. That constitutes a quorum. We will move on now with the acceptance of the agenda. Is there a motion from the board? Annette Spellin made a motion. Is there a second?
James Fitzgerald, second.
Mr. Camacho beat you to it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
So moved. Agenda item number 3, acceptance of the previous meeting minutes. Is there a motion from the board?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes from the previous meeing.
I second Barbara's motion.
Barbara made the motion. Who seconded? Say name.
Z. Navola.
I heard Z Navola. You said her name first. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? So moved. All right. Agenda item number 4, chairperson's report. Mr. Camacho.
Me, well, I'm here, so.
How are you, board members? Thank you, guys. It's been a rough year, but we're here. Give blessings to everyone. On Thursday, September 22nd at 6 p.m., we met with the Hope Gardens TA at 195 Linden. I also want to thank Evelyn, the property manager of Hope Garden, for being considerate and working with us and making sure that our seniors and our people be taken care of. Thank you. All the time I call her, she picks up the phone, even on Sundays and Saturdays. And when she's even partying, she picks up the phone. But I want to thank her. September 22nd at 6, Borough Board, ULIP training. I know some of the board members got on that. I was on that too. On Monday, the 26th at 1 p.m., a meeting with CB4 staff. We made sure, I guess Celeste will fill in on the CB4 staff. On Monday, the 26th at 2, we met with the commissioner for DCP. On Monday, the 26th at 6 o'clock, an annual budget committee meeting. Tuesday, the 27th, CB4 connected with Renaissance. Jessica Lee, I got her name right for a while. On Tuesday, the 27th, CB4 House and Land Use Committee, they'll fill you in on that. On Wednesday, the 28th, Group 3, we met with Borough Board consultation. We had sanitation, DSNY, DOT, DEP, FDNY, SCA/DOE, NYPD, and HRA. So far, so good, right, Celeste? On Thursday, the 29th, CB4 District Office Committee notes, 6 participants. On Tuesday, October 4th at 3 p.m., we met with Riseboro. Celeste will fill you in on some of the things we talked about. I know Riseboro ain't they're doing what they have to do, but I know they're looking for employees. There's jobs for this. We have a job port too, so tell the people to get on that job port. Riseboro looking for porters, whatever they're looking for, let's get it going. Let's get the kids go to work. On Wednesday, October 5th, at 6 o'clock, Executive Board Committee, 6 participants. On Thursday, October 6th, between 6 and 6:30, roundhouse. Oh, yeah, I don't want to know about this. I went to roundhouse table on 1075 Gates, and I was partying with all my seniors. Barbara Jackson, thank you. You should have seen them seniors dancing, boy. I don't know, they had that soul music. I'm almost crying, but it's all right. I won't tell y'all what I was doing, but I was doing that there. Celeste left, so. Thursday the 6th at 5:30. I got on the first time the Patrol Borough North Community Comstat forum. Woo! If y'all can get on that, man, you don't know how they be turning up on these they force them to go out there and start doing their job, especially if they don't have the manpower to do it. But obviously, that's why they're the boss, right, boss? Because they got to get things done. So it was, I know a lot of board members got on that, and also a chair from the 18th Precinct Council. On Thursday, the 6th, 6 p.m., Brooklyn Borough Hall, it was canceled. So we're supposed to meet today, and I have Joshua Bound there. They're supposed to be voting on something. On Friday, October 7th at 10, Hope Garden, a RAD update. They've been working with us in regards to some of the garbage and doing containerized locations. As you know, sanitation no longer picks up on Hope Garden on drop sites. They have to lug garbage from one end to 2 locations. So we're hope that all the elected officials or city agents, whoever's on this call, that we can help the RAD conversion get some money so we can do other drop sites to make it easier to pick up this garbage. Because as you see, the employees in the Hope Garden development picks the garbage up 3 times. They take it from the building, they put it in a cart, they lug it to a location. From the location, they got to pick it into another machine that scoops it up and dumps it in. And guess what sanitation does? Picks up the whole bin and leaves. So we really need to make sure that we give a location where they can come out and make their job easier, so they can go and maintain these buildings clean. So if they're lugging garbage all day and dropping garbage off on the other end of Bushwick, then that building can't be clean, and we can't expect them to have that building clean, immaculate, and 18 inches over the curb and sweep down the buildings and maintain. So we really need to allow these elected officials and sanitation to get some of their budget so we can allocate locations where they can drop that garbage off as close as possible so they can do their job. Because across the street, even if there's a big development, they drop theirs piles up, and that's a private entity, but yet they don't want Hope Garden that's dealing with only Section 8 people. So I think that there's a problem there. We really need to work on that. On Tuesday, the 11th, economic and permits and license, they'll speak on that. On Wednesday, the 12th, Coffee with the Cop. We had a wonderful time, 480 Knickerbocker. On Wednesday, the 12th, CB4 District Needs Town Hall. Thank you for all the city agencies for coming out. We had a good turnout. We had good information. We haven't decided the tally yet. I think Celeste, and she's trying to look for help for people to tally what's going on and what is it that we need. I know we're gonna get it together soon. Thursday, October 13th, we had 3 committee meetings. So health, public safety, religious health, human services, and veterans. On Friday, the 14th at 5 p.m., the 8-3 precinct had a costume Halloween giveaway at 480 Knickerbocker. You should have seen the lines. Thank you, 8-3. You're always on front. I know the person that gave them that, and we want to thank all of you guys for your services. A lot of people always want to say that PD's not doing that, but I know the 8-3 is doing it. And I'm here for backing you, and we're here. This community always needs your help. Also, there has been, while they were doing that, there was a shooting. They responded to the shooting, and the deputy inspector is going to fill you in on that because I don't want to take out her thumb. And I know we caught the guy, so I want her to tell you about what's going on. And also, I know Ann Guiney called me. I know you know the person. God keep us in our prayers, in his prayers and his family. We had a jumper on Ann Guiney's building, 30 Forest, young kid, 30 years old. We got to look out for people, man. Any one of us can have a problem. We got to talk. This young kid just committed suicide. So we got to look out. We got to do better. I'm sorry, I know Ann Guiney knew who he was, and she also filled me in that the officers were professional. You know, sometimes things like that occur, and we got to all be together. On Monday the 17th, between 5 and 8, 40 years, me and Celeste went to Evergreen Exchange Business. We went to a party. It was nice. On Tuesday the 18th, 422 Central, we had the NBA, the Neighborhood Advisory Board. There are surveys over there. So don't complain when you says we don't got no programming. There are surveys in Spanish and English in there so we can get more funding for our kids. On Tuesday the 18th, the 8-3 Precinct Council. On Wednesday, I also went to the clergies. We're trying to work with the clergies and make sure that the clergies bring service. Everybody's got to believe in something. I don't care who you believe in, but something's made out of something, and we got to make sure that the clergies also put in our prayers, because I commit a crime from Monday to Fridays and Sundays. I go to the church and I go to the pastor and they forgive me and pray for my sins. So we want to make sure that we always help our churches. And today the full board meeting. And that is my, oh, no, I think Celeste, unless she wants me to do that. Okay, for district. Oh, okay. Oh, wait, I got a good one from the borough president's office. Okay, as you know, this is what the borough president sent me, the OML, and also the attendance. Attached to this memo is a template for an attendance sheet. This is for Celeste, but if a member attends the meeting, we must enter 1. If a member does not attend the meeting, we must enter 0. It's still an excuse, but you're still marked absent. No matter what excuse, it's not coming through us, it's coming through the borough president's office. So you got to come to your meetings. You got to come to your committee meetings. We sent the sheet over to the borough president, and if he don't recommend you to get on his board, don't call me. You're on this board for a reason. We only meet 10 times. And I'm trying to double up some of these meetings. So like that, you don't have to come to 2 different meetings if you get on a committee. And if you are in 3 or 4 committees and you're absent on 2 of those committees, you're still absent and they still can get you out. If you can't do all these meetings, do 1 meeting on committee. Please. I also, executive board. No one's the chair of the committee.
if you're on the executive board, because now you gotta be on the executive board, you gotta be on the committee on this, and now you gotta come to the full meeting. So that's 3 meetings you're coming. So I'm trying to work with you guys, but if you're not on there, I know I have an attendance sheet here. I don't like putting nobody's name in blast. But if you guys know who you are, there are 13 people that had letters sent, people that on the bylaws have 10 years, that have phone calls that they make. 6 of them haven't improved. 7 of them have improved. I have a list. You can go through Celeste. I don't want to put nobody on the spot here, but you got to come to the meetings. If you don't want to come, get somebody else that wants to be there. I go to every meetings and I love Bushwick. I don't say you have to be like me, but all you have to do is come once. And the committee meeting and your board meeting. That's it. I got to repeat it all the time. We got 49 board members. There's no way that we should be only having 33. We should have a full quorum because Bushwick is needed. And if you don't want to be part of this board, guess what? Don't put in for it. That's the way I feel about it. I'm sorry I have to talk that way, but we really need you guys here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. All right, thank you.
They're both full. You got to talk louder, Celeste.
Back, okay. All right, hopefully it'll come back on and folks can hear me. If not,
She's
then
on.
we'll make it work. So anyways, we'll keep moving on. Any questions for Mr. Camacho's report? Going once, going twice? Anything in the chat? No. Seeing and hearing none, we will move on now. And we have next the introduction of our elected officials and agency representatives. We're going to combine them. If you are an elected official representative or an agency representative, please raise your hand if you are on Zoom. And if you're here in person, please just come up and grab the mic, or Mr. Camacho will bring it to you.
I know you work hard, so I don't want you to walk.
Oh, thank you so much.
We'll go in person first, and then we'll move on to the Zoom.
Hi, everybody. I'll stand over here. So
Name and
I can
contact
see you all.
information only right now.
Oh, okay. My name is Lacey Talbot. I'm the legislative director for the Brooklyn Borough President's Office and also the newly appointed rep for CB4. So very excited to be here. I have a little report. I guess I do that later. I haven't done this in a while. Okay, but you can reach me at lacey.tauber@brooklynbp.nyc.gov.
Thank you. Anyone else in person? Seeing no one, we will go on. Angelica?
Hi, everyone. My name is Angelica Colon. I'm the district director for Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez's office.
Contact info.
Sorry, a Colon at council.nyc.gov, and my phone number is 718-963-3141.
Thank you. Tony Herbert.
Greetings, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome back. I'm hoping you guys are ready to have some more fun. Tony Herbert, I'm the Brooklyn Borough Director for the Community Affairs Unit in the Office of the Mayor. You can reach me at aherbert@cityhall.nyc.gov or directly by cell at 347-977-2300.
Thank you. Yvette.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Yvette Lopez. I am the Communications Director for Assemblywoman Marta Davila. We are located at 249 Wilson Avenue in Brooklyn. Our office is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, and we can be reached at 718-443-1205. My email is lopeze, as in Yvette, @nyassembly.gov. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe I saw Jonathan earlier.
Yes, good evening, Celeste. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan from Bose. I bring greetings from District Attorney Eric Gonzalez. Our offices are located at 350 J Street in downtown Brooklyn, and you could reach us at the Action Center at 718-250-2340. And then you can reach me directly at 250-2817. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else on Zoom. So only our elected officials and agency reps at this time. All right. If we missed you, just please drop a line in the chat and we will circle back. Yep. Go ahead.
Tony Herbert, I would like to thank you, Tony. We had a DEP come out. As you know, we had flooded conditions. And I know with myself and Iris gave us a list of some of the locations that needed the cast basement areas to be clean. And I know I went out there and they have been clean. A lot of them on Wilson, a lot of them. So we want to thank you, Tony Herbert. We gave you the list. And I went out there and I want to thank you for making sure that they come out here and do it. I know I can count on you.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
All right. We will move on now to our 8-3 precinct commanding officer's report. And I'm happy to share that our Deputy Inspector, Alexandra Sarubi, is here with us this evening. Let's welcome her.
I get lucky, I see her 3 times.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I don't want to give my back to anyone, so I'm trying to figure out where the best place would be, where I should stand. Maybe right over here and then look this way. Good evening, everybody. How are you guys doing? How many people do we have on the on Zoom? 45. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alexandra Sarubi. I've been the commanding officer of the 83rd precinct now for, I want to say, about 5 weeks. Prior to coming to the 83rd, I was a commanding officer for a little over 2 years in the 26th precinct, which covers West Harlem and Morningside Heights. I have to say that I feel honored and blessed to be joining the Bushwick community. It is a very tight-knit and very community service oriented community. And so I'm proud to be joining the family. What I've seen so far is that, and I've been saying this throughout every meeting, is that when any tragedy happens, everybody comes together to help out. And I think that's a beautiful thing. We had a very tragic fire a couple of weeks ago where a couple of families were displaced and everybody came together. They made sure, they got clothing for all ages. They found out how old the kids were that were parts of these families, and they donated clothing and household supplies. And that's a beautiful thing. I've also been blessed to be part of a lot of events, like Mr. Camacho mentioned just recently. The most recent one was on Friday. We had the Halloween costume giveaway, and we had almost 1,000 kids line up, and it was a lot of fun. We had a DJ. And it's just nice to see the families come and we interact with the families and with the kids. And I think that's really important. We've had a couple of events, also the coffee with a cop. I think that was a great idea. It was a beautiful day for that, right? We just hung out in front of the precinct. We had coffee there, we had pastries, and we had music playing. And it's about us interacting with the community. And I think that's very important because we want the community to get to know us, that we're not just police officers in uniforms. We're people just like everyone else. We have families just like everyone. We have responsibilities just like everyone, and we care just like everyone else. We all came on this job to protect and to serve, but the NYPD, we cannot do this on our own. So we need the community's help. And that's why Mr. Camacho mentioned earlier about the community walkthrough. He mentioned, so there's a complaint about a street being poorly lit due to the trees overgrowing. And I'm a firm believer that sometimes it's not just one agency's responsibility to take care of the problem. So for example, the pruning, right? That's parks. But at the same time, DOT is responsible for the lampposts. So I suggested we all come together, the NYPD included, where we go, we survey, we check out the problem, and okay, the issue may be the pruning, but at the same time, it gives DOT the opportunity to kind of reevaluate their lighting system and see if maybe they can make any tweaks. And at the same time, while we're there, the NYPD, we're speaking with the agency. So now while they're making their plans of how they're going to do the pruning, if it's something that's going to take too long, then that's when the NYPD jumps in, because then I want to make sure that the community feels safe. So in that case, I would make sure that I offer that my officers do increase directed patrols on that street. And if it's something that's gonna take too long, then I'll definitely try to get some light towers to light up to temporarily light up the street while the trees are being pruned. This is just one example of how things can be accomplished, and we can do a lot more if everybody comes together. The reason why I asked how many people were on Zoom is because we just had our community council meeting yesterday, and we had the clergy meeting this morning, and I want to see more faces show up at these meetings. Because the NYPD, we are not everywhere. So just having 20 or 30 people at a meeting, I don't think it's proper representation of the Bushwick community. I think we need more people involved. We need to hear more from everyone here. I'm grateful that we have amazing interaction with the people that do attend these meetings, but we need more input. In these meetings, it's not just about talking about crime. It's about people voicing their concerns. And then what we do, I think it's a great opportunity to also kind of put our heads together and strategize and try to come up with solutions together. Because the NYPD, although this is what we do, right? We protect and serve, but this is the command that we work in. You guys live here. You guys live here, you work here, you commute to and from here. This is your home. You guys are here 24 hours a day. So you experience a lot more than we do. And you know, the cops, when they do their 8 or 9 hour tours. So we need your input. We need your feedback. We need you to let us know what's working, what's not working. And for everybody to just get together and the more, what is it? Dream work makes the team work. Is that what everybody's saying? So I'm going to repeat the same thing. Teamwork makes the dream work. Again, I'm here with Officers Lopez and Officer Altadena. I am so lucky and so proud to have an amazing group of officers that work hard. And not only do they work hard to protecting and serving the community, they work hard to connect with the community. This, the 83rd precinct is phenomenal with that, where everyone knows each other by their first name. And it's just, we do so many events with Mr. Barnes. We did the bowling event. It's little things like this that I think go a long way. And when it comes to making an impact in kids, is letting them know that the cops, we are here to help. That when they see the uniform, God forbid if a kid is lost, we want them to come to us. If they see the uniform, they know, okay, I can go to that officer because the officer is gonna help me. So in these meetings, it's a perfect way for us to spread information as well when it comes to crime prevention. So I'm just, I'm extending the invitation. Next meeting, I'm hoping to see a lot more people at our community council meeting. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you.
And any questions from board members or for those that are on the chat, members of the public? Any questions? Comments? All right, we have Amy.
So those officers there they're part of the field training unit. So when a police officer is hired, they spend 6 months in the police academy. Once they graduate the police academy, they're sent out to all the boroughs. And what's happening now is that the boroughs is placing them in areas, especially like business districts, where they're learning. So they're being taught by field training officers and field training supervisors, and they're placed on foot posts, just that's for extra visibility, specifically in those business districts where we think it's a good idea, where we have, you know, all the business establishments there where we think that the police presence helps. So that's what it is. And if they see the patrol vehicles with the lights on, that's just for extra presence. That's just to let people know that we're there. Hopefully that deters crime. And at the same time, the lights also, if anyone needs help, they know to just they know that the officers are there as well. And I just wanted to mention for the meeting, Mr. Barnes reminded me that it is the third Tuesday of every month at 6:30 in the evening in the precinct. Any other meeting?
I want to ask because I remember before in the area was a lot of checkpoint, and also we know after the pandemic the situation is very hard. We know a lot of institutions there we do the worker, and I understand that. But before was police in the street to try to take care of the community, and like I say, was a checkpoint in the area. Do you think in the future maybe we can get back all of that?
When it comes to checkpoints, we have at least 4 every week, actually. What we do, we have them in areas where the accident prone locations. So in the locations where we have a lot of vehicle collisions, this is where we're conducting the checkpoints for most of the time. We also conduct them in high crime areas. So they are getting done. Maybe you're not seeing them at the time that they're getting done, but they're getting done. Yeah. Any other questions?
Anne?
And we can't hear your audio.
Not sure why, Anne. It's not working. If you want to try to drop it in the chat. Yep. Ms. Westbrook as well has a question.
Yes, hello, Commanding Officer Mr. Ruby. I do apologize if I messed it up, but I know it's Alexandria. The event was amazing. I loved it. It gave us an opportunity to talk about other things that's going on. I can't make it to every meeting, so I need to sit with some of our seniors to figure out how this is done, but I'm working on it. One of the things that I wanted to mention to you is our parks. I mentioned to you when I met you during the meet and greet that I do represent not only my community, but I also represent our school and for District 32, most importantly, but of course, citywide, right? Because anywhere I go, I'm going to represent. I was sitting in the park. So my comment or question is, I had to say to one of the young children or young adults about using some type of drug in our school. And the thought came up was, do we get patrols in our parks? How do we get patrols in our parks? Is it a walkthrough? Is it a drive-through? We need presence, right? We need to know that our police officers aren't just like on the main street, but also looking after our children after school when they're dismissed. I was there, Officer Alexandria, because that's the easier way to say your name. For me right now, I was there with my son right after school riding his bike, and there was some young adults sitting there rolling paraphernalia. And I had to say myself, are you guys gonna smoke that here? So I just want us to be safe. I want our children to be safe. I want our children to play and not have to, and I know we're not perfect, but I'm hoping that was a question and a comment, but
I'll answer that. So we do patrol the parks. We conduct directed patrols in the parks all the time. As a matter of fact, in the summertime, our youth coordination officers, they adopt 2 parks. So it's an adopt a park program, and they're responsible for conducting 2 hours of the directed patrols in each park. We don't have a set time frame of when these directed patrols are done. In between the officers, answering their 911 jobs, they are directed to ensure that they walk through the park. I've walked through the parks myself numerous times already. I've interacted with members of the community. There was, this was last Saturday. Was it Saturday? There was a big basketball game. It was a great event. There was a lot of people there. And we were there for a couple of hours. The neighborhood coordination officers as well, that's their responsibility, is to make sure that the parks are, are safe for people to go to. We also had we just recently had a meeting with New York City Department of Parks and Recreation as well as Parks Enforcement Patrol. And it was to have a conversation about the community's concerns, when it comes to the parks, maybe people hanging out in the park after the parks are closed. And this is something that we're closely going to be monitoring. We're going to working, like I said, it's important for all the agencies to work together. So we had a meeting with them, we're coordinating with them, and we're making sure that when the parks are, it's closing hours, we're making sure that the parks are being closed. And, but when you see a crime, I just want to make sure, and this is for everyone, if you see any crime, please just make sure that you dial 911. and have us handle it, that's, that's the best course of action when you see something like that. Don't just sit by idly and let it happen, because, we're there to make sure that the community is safe. So please just make sure that you call 911.
All right. You want to try again, Anne? Yeah, it seems like
She
Okay.
put the question in the chat.
we just saw it.
Can you start again? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Say that again? No, just say it.
Yeah, so it's about Nick and Willoughby. So the officers are blocking.
So those flares that they're talking about are probably the flares that we use when we're conducting our checkpoints, which is proof that we're doing our checkpoints. When we do these checkpoints, it's very strange, because sometimes people, I'm sure you've all heard of this, where when people see police activity and they see police lights, there've been so many tragedies where for whatever reason, they drive right into the cops. So that's a safety issue that we do, where we utilize the flares, we put them on the floor so we can direct the vehicles that we're pulling over. We can direct them to a safe spot so nobody gets injured. So that's what those flares are. It's not any other kind of like, it's not a negative activity. It's just the checkpoints, and we're doing that for safety.
Cassandra?
Hi, so I put my question in the chat, but over the past couple of months, I've been noticing a lot more motor vehicles like racing or like being liberal with how they interpret stop signs and red lights. Like I've seen a lot of folks just blast right through them, and I'm worried about like pedestrian safety in those instances. So I was wondering if, I know that like motor vehicles will slow down whenever they see cop cars present. So like, I don't know if this is an issue that you have noticed in the neighborhood, but I did want to bring it to your attention.
So this is actually a citywide issue. I don't know if anybody here has social media. You can actually see that even, the chief of department and the chief of patrol, they're always posting how we conduct enforcement. So when it comes to vehicular safety, obviously we do enforce it. When our officers see any kind of traffic violation, we do pull the vehicles over, but unfortunately, we're not everywhere out all the time. So when we're not there, people are gonna, maybe roll through the stop sign a little faster than they should. But we're cracking down on that, and I know that everyone here maybe over the summer noticed that there's a lot of motorcycles in the street, right? And driving recklessly. The police department takes that very seriously. We conduct investigations with that, and we confiscate those, especially if they're illegally owned. We confiscate them as well. And when we can't catch them, because if you think about it, a lot of the times there's no chasing, so we're not gonna chase these guys all around, because we can risk someone else getting hurt that's not even involved, and that's never our goal. So we turn on our body-worn cameras, and we utilize the Argus cameras that are located throughout the city. We also utilize whatever cameras the store owners have, and we conduct our investigation that way. And if there's any way that we can identify either the vehicle or the motorcycle or the person riding the motorcycle, driving the vehicle, then we get them that way. But if you follow social media, you see that we've been cracking down, and a lot of motorcycles and vehicles have been confiscated.
Yeah, I know because of the diffuse nature of the problem, it's a challenging one to address. But thank you for that response.
Thank you.
My question is, I know that the police officers can't do everything, but I know with the whole change of the opium and the drugs that's going on, and so many people that had just been released from prison, we have a lot of individuals who are in between the houses in the neighborhoods, and they're shooting up, and they're doing all kinds of things. I'm kind of saying, like, not for you to solve the problem, but maybe you can help us as CB4 and community leaders that maybe we can come up with something together so that we can have some kind of intervention. Because there's a lot of drug use in between the hallways, any little nook and crannies. You see people shooting up. This reminds me back in the days in the 80s when we used to live here in Bushwick. It just took me back to when I was 12. And I don't want this to become, we've worked so hard in Bushwick to get it to where it's at now. And now we have these individuals who have just been released from jail, have mental illness, have problems with drugs. How can we work together and kind of organize the organizations along with working with the precinct and everyone else and the elected officials to see how we can serve these individuals?
So this is something obviously that everyone knows here. The city has been working jointly, right? There's a lot of agencies that are involved. At the end of the day, mental health issues and drug addiction we're not treating it like as a crime, right? It's something where people need help. They need some kind of intervention. They need counseling. They need professionals. And the NYPD, we cannot do it alone. We're not doctors, we're not psychiatrists, and that's when all the other agencies come in. We do have co-response teams where it comes to when we're responding to emotionally disturbed persons, and that's when we have experts that know how to handle people that are emotionally disturbed, and they help us out. That's been a huge success. We have Thrive NYC as well. We have all these organizations that are working jointly together. It's going to take some time. That's what I see. I think it takes a community to figure this out. We have to work together. We have to help each other out. And at the end of the day, this is addiction. This is a mental health issue, and criminalizing it is not the right way to do it. We have to find other ways. I don't have the answers right now, but I think we're on the right track.
And that's exactly what I was trying to say, that I know that this is something out of the takes more than just the police officer. You don't want to criminalize them, like you said.
Yeah.
This is a health issue. How can we, as a community, help?
And so just for those that may not have heard, the final part of that is how can we as a community help, right, these individuals that are going through, whatever substance use, concerns or situations that they may have. And I think that a great place to start would be the board's health committee. It's a larger umbrella, but absolutely it makes the most sense. And that's why we have the committee spaces to continue these conversations, see how we can work with our community partners. I believe that's it. No more questions. Thank you so much to our commanding officer, Deputy Inspector, for being here.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
All right, so we will move on. We're in the home stretch, folks. We're going to go now into our district manager's report. That is my report, and I will do my best to summarize. So good evening, everyone, and happy belated Indigenous Peoples Day. It is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, National Book Month, and National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, along with other notable celebrations and festivities. I hope you've been able to take advantage of related services and are generally enjoying the transition to fall weather and activities. I'd also like to thank the following for volunteering at last week's District Needs Town Hall. Our volunteer list included Joanna Bennett, Virgie Jones, Stephanie Anderson, Carlotta Williams, Annette Spellin, Tashana Wade. And if I missed you, it was not intentional. I know we had other board members in attendance, board members that passed out flyers on their block. We appreciate and thank you so much. You made the setup and the breakdown, the event as it happened possible. And I'm also happy to share that we had 94 people in attendance, 94. So we weren't really sure what to expect as we come back or continue to come back from the pandemic, but thank you to everyone who made it out and helped participate. We look forward to sharing the information. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also shout out Kim and Sharon from the board's office for their help. So thank you, Kim, and thank you to Sharon. All right, so what to expect this fall? We're in the middle of district needs season, so please, again, take a chance and opportunity to learn more and shape the budget request for the district. You can complete the survey by October 28th. Some upcoming events, we're gonna have another series of housing and land use workshops. I will repeat this later under announcements, but just for now, on Thursday, October 27th, 6 p.m., affordable housing workshop. This is a part 2. So we had one earlier this year. All of these workshops are in partnership with the Center for Urban Pedagogy. On Thursday, November 3rd, 6 p.m., a zoning FAL workshop, also the second one. This will be in person. All of these will take place at 1349 Gates in their community room. Thank you to Riseboro for hosting us again. And the last one will be Thursday, December 1st, 6 p.m. It'll be a ULURP, also known as the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure Workshop. And on Wednesday, it's tentative, but on Wednesday, November 30th, we're looking to host a public safety town hall in partnership with State Senator Julia Salazar's office. And we have tentatively scheduled a nonprofit roundtable for early December 2022. And tomorrow from 11 to I believe 2 p.m., you can see CB4 along with several different agencies. There's some flyers in the back for an NYC Business Best event. This is co-hosted in partnership with Riseboro and NYC Small Business Services. Any businesses, local small businesses are encouraged to pass by, get information from the various city agencies that will be there. And a reminder, the board's office assists primarily with city-related issues and concerns. I've shared our contact information earlier. This evening's meeting is an overview of the various committees and other meetings, events, and activities within the past month. To discuss specific concerns in further detail, please contact the board's office for more information, and most detailed discussions take place on the committee level. And now I will summarize the meetings and events that I've attended in the past month. I will do my best to be brief. I hosted or I facilitated several, more than several. I believe we have about 11 new non-board or public committee members. So each time there are new public committee members, they generally will join either in September or the midterm in January. So we welcome some new folks to our committees in September. I facilitated orientations for each of those folks, for those that were able to schedule them within the time. Let's see. Also, I want to say thank you to City Planning, their Planning Coordination Unit, for helping us put together our district needs town hall, for providing feedback on our surveys. We have very limited resources and capacity in the board's office, so it's helpful when we have folks like their team providing insight and input into our work. And I also want to note, Mr. Camacho mentioned the meeting that we had with the City Planning Commissioner, Dan Garodnick, and Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez. Thank you to the council member for putting this together. Many folks ask us what's going on with the zoning, what's going on with the community plan. These conversations are ongoing. However, the commissioner did mention that for now, there are no plans or intentions to come to Bushwick to continue the zoning conversation, although they wanted to hear where we left off, what the community is thinking, and how things may look moving forward. It was noted that agencies essentially ghosted Bushwick, right? You know, they left, they didn't say anything. You know, we have agencies like Landmarks Preservation Commission, where it's been very difficult. Until recently, they had a meeting with Linden Street homeowners after multiple requests, a historic preservation working group. HPD has been notably absent, but we're hoping to keep rebuilding those relationships, rebuilding the relationship with city planning. And I think, we're making progress on that front. And I will skip ahead to a meeting that I had on October 3rd with, SFC. I forget what the acronym stands for, but from the Army, the East Brooklyn Army Recruiting Station, Sergeant First Class, I believe. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But Sergeant First Class Muir met with me to talk a little bit about what the Army is doing, how they can be supportive to the community board, and of course, how they can make sure that folks have access to information for those that are interested in enlisting. I also had a planning meeting the same day with Senator Salazar's office. This is in regards to public safety town hall. They should be sharing a brief survey that folks can fill out soon to better inform who will be participating in that town hall. So please keep your eyes peeled. And on Tuesday, October 4th, Mr. Camacho mentioned the meeting with Riseboro Community Partnership Leadership. This meeting was really to go over a variety of things, the concerns that we've heard from the community. We want to make sure that there are open lines of communication, that whether it's tenants in a building, it's issues with property management, issues with services, that we are able to address those, that they have the support they need to address them, and that there's clarity in what's going on. There's no reason why a leader in this community, shouldn't be able to continue those conversations and to still support the people that have been here. As Mr. Camacho always says, this is the motherland. They can't forget about Bushwick. projects such as 1601 DeKalb. We asked about the Old Stanley, which I believe is now Bushwick, South Bushwick houses project where you're going to have affordable home ownership opportunities. Both of our council members allocated funding for those projects to move forward. And hopefully we'll be hearing more about them within the coming months as HPD contracts are finalized. HPD is our Department of Housing Preservation and Development. And we also met with tenant leaders and Take Root Justice in regards to a post-packed RAD conversion experience. Across the city, different developments are looking to, to undergo the conversion. And so folks wanted to know what the experience has been like in Bushwick. Mr. Camacho and myself were able to speak with them and to provide a little bit of information on our efforts here and the work that we've done with our management and lessons learned over the past 2.5, 3 years. And I also attended on October 6th, the District 34 and 37 participatory budget assembly at Bushwick High School. It was a small group, but a great kickoff to Bushwick's participatory budget process, not to be confused with the citywide civic engagement process. So this just means more money, more opportunities. So I encourage you to learn more about participatory budgeting. And on October 7th, last Friday, there was a Future of Community Boards working group meeting. I continue to talk to my colleagues citywide about shared issues that the community boards are facing in the hopes that we will be able to address them with various agency partners and amongst ourselves. And we had our district service cabinet meeting last Wednesday, October 12th. It was probably the fastest meeting I've ever attended, 30 minutes. We had sanitation, Department of Design and Construction, the DA's office, New York City Transit MTA, Department for the Aging, Department of Health, Department of Education, Department of Homeless Services, Department of Transportation, Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez's office, Parks, FDNY, Borough President Antonio Reynoso's office, and the Department for Youth and Community Development. These meetings are always well attended. Our agencies are looking out. We need to hear from you in order to better inform them. And almost there. I continue to meet with various community-based organizations to check in on projects and just to make sure we're keeping the lines of communication open. We also hear from a variety of folks, including, reporters, freelance reporters, local news. I had a meeting with some students from Columbia that are working with the Aberdeen Community Garden around community engagement. For those that don't know, next to Rudd Playground, which is on a dead end on Aberdeen off of Bushwick Avenue, there is a small garden, New York Restoration Project Garden, and they are looking to have folks become more involved with that space. It's a very small block. And again, only one side of the block has residents on it. The other side is the self-storage facility on the corner. Then you have Rudd Playground, which is our skate park, little playground, and the basketball courts. And then you have the garden at the very end. And Mr. Camacho mentioned, oh, yes, the Aberdeen Community Garden. It's a New York Restoration Project garden. You're welcome. And I just want to say congrats again to Evergreen on their 40th anniversary celebration. We were there on Monday with them. And one shameless plug for our Bushwick Jobs Board. If you don't know about it, please go to our website, www.nyc.gov/BKCB4. Follow the menu items resources for applicants, Bushwick Jobs Board. All of the employment opportunities we receive to the office that we find online are available there, including the New Hope Housing Corporation. They will be hiring for a migrant shelter, Hope House, located at 2550 East New York Ave. This is scheduled to open Tuesday, November 1st, and interviews will begin next week. Please look on the board. This is just one example of many opportunities that we are receiving now as folks look to hire and staff up. We encourage everyone locally, organizations, businesses, anyone that knows of opportunities, please let us know. Myself or Kim in the office can assist you. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Post, whatever jobs. There's no excuse.
All right. So we will move on now to our committee reports. And I encourage, as to the extent possible, for all our committee chairpersons to be brief. We do have minutes for those meetings for folks that want further detail. But we will start with our joint committee meeting. I believe Ms. Spellin will give the overview. It's civic, public safety, religious, health, human services, senior citizens, veterans, and Youth and Education joint meeting. I'm sure other committee chairpersons will chime in as needed. Ms. Spellin.
Hello, you hear me now? Okay, I'm going to start out with, I attended the CompStat meeting, the NYPD CompStat meeting, also the NYPD Faith and Blue in Times Square was excellent with the clergy from all over the city. I attended the town hall briefly and the clergy meeting this morning. We've had 4 fires in Bushwick. The most recent one, there were 2 injuries. We had at the meeting on October 13th, we had a presentation by Mr. Rashid Littlejohn. He came to us requesting a letter of support for a location in which he wanted to organize youth gym. Mr. Camacho had to tell him that we could not give him a letter to give to an owner. We do not advise owners what to do with their properties. It turns out that he felt that the owner wanted to make a supermarket there and he didn't want the supermarket. He wanted it for the children. We told him that didn't work for us. We had a presentation by Denise Rodriguez from Community Education Council 32. She wasn't feeling well, so we asked her to postpone her presentation until a future meeting. Let's see, we also had Virgie Jones. I wish you would explain that presentation from the Riseboro community person.
Oh, yeah. So there was one item for each committee at this joint committee meeting. So I know Ms. Spellin covered the civic public safety religious item. She also referenced the youth and education item, and I believe the last one was senior friendly, which is our health committee. I'm not sure if Cheryl is on, if Cheryl would like to elaborate. If not, I'm happy to do so. Okay. Not hearing from Cheryl. I was not at this meeting, but I am familiar with the program. Riseboro is currently facilitating the senior friendly program within Bushwick. And what it is if there are any seniors, right, who are in the community and could benefit from, volunteers that reach out to them, connect with them, basically checking in, right, on our elders in this community. That is what they're trying to do. So whether folks are enrolled at a senior center or some that don't like going out to the senior centers, they're just at home. There are a variety of ways to interact and to volunteer. So I know the information is in the report, but it was informational. It was just to say this program is available to seniors and available to those that want to volunteer with our seniors. And they are in need, thank you. And that they are in need of volunteers. So please take a look at the information that will be available in the report. Any questions on this report? Virgie, did you have anything to add for youth and education? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll keep moving then. We already covered our district office committee, so we'll keep going down to economic development and permits and licenses. Melissa and Desmond.
Hello, everyone. Can you see me and hear me?
Yes.
Amazing. I'm hiding in my room. It's my kids' bedtime and we have a small apartment, so bear with me. So good evening, everyone. The Economic Development and Permits and License Committee met on Tuesday, October 11th at 6 p.m. And we had a quorum for this meeting. We also had a surprise guest. Assemblywoman Davila was able to join us, but you can find all the notes in the report. We started our meeting at 6:05 with a total of 6 establishments coming for their liquor license recommendation. So the first location is Loveless Coffee LLC, located at 86 Central Avenue. They are looking for a beer and wine license. They're located between Jefferson and Melrose. And this is a cafe that's right now running just selling coffee and tea and some small pastries. And the business owner has lived here for over 10 years, has opened up their coffee shop, and is hoping to increase revenue by selling beer and wine. Their intended hours of operation, alcohol hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., Friday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 a.m., and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And of course, we made mention of the no amplified music, no alcohol past 12 on 12 a.m. on Sundays as our stipulation. And of course, outdoor spaces must be closed by 10 p.m., which the owner agreed to. And the establishment is hoping to operate a sidewalk cafe in the near future. And we did promote the Bushwick's Jobs Board, as we do with all of the businesses that come across our committee. We like to encourage folks to really utilize the Jobs Board to post any job opportunities, as well as continue to build a relationship with the community and the 83rd and their NCO. Next up, we had A Touch of Lagos Inc., located at 911 Broadway, also looking for a beer and wine license. They're located between Arion Place and Melrose Street. They are a restaurant establishment, and the owner has a primary restaurant location in Manhattan, but they're looking to bring that kind of African cuisine, which is really West African cuisine, to Brooklyn, which is really exciting. We don't have that, not that I know of. And their intended sales of alcohol hours are stated in the report, Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. And amended hours were submitted on October 12th. The establishment is looking to do some community engagement, some community outreach to their neighbors and also organizations, and also build a relationship with the 83rd. They have done this in the past, where they have done, some sort of open restaurants program. They will be joining that as well. And then they are hoping to give back and contribute to the community. So it was a really, really lovely woman. And we're really excited to welcome her into the community. Next up, we have the Mad Mandarin LLC, located at 1332 Halsey Street, looking for a full liquor license. This is between Irving Avenue and Wyckoff Avenue. This establishment type is a restaurant, and the owner has experience in operating businesses and owning bagel shops through Brooklyn. Their hours of operations are as follow: Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 12 a.m., Friday through Saturday, 4 p.m. to 2 a.m., and Sunday from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. Of course, we informed the owner of stipulations, no sales of alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sundays, no amplified music, and outdoor spaces must be closed by 10 p.m., which the owner agreed to in the meeting. And the establishment will not be operating using the sidewalk cafe space. And we did encourage, of course, the Jobs Board, building a relationship with the 83rd and their NCO, and invited them to join the meeting if they wanted to get to know the rest of the board. Next up, we have Cevicheros, which is 1443 Myrtle Avenue, looking for a full liquor license, located between Knickerbocker Avenue and Bleecker Street. For those of you who used to have coffee at the Dunkin' Donuts right next to La Isla, you will remember that. So it took over, and now it's a ceviche family-owned restaurant looking to serve an Ecuadorian menu. Has already started to build community with the 83rd by offering coffee and breakfast in the morning. Their intended sales of alcohol hours, as stated in the meeting, are as follows: 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. And the business owners are considering extending their hours a little bit later, and they must be submitted by today. I'm not sure, Kimberly, if they were able to submit that request in.
No, they did not.
No, okay, thank you. So they did not. So we let them know, of course, as per our guidance, if you ever need, an hour or two difference on a weekend night, to just do that at the very beginning, so you don't have to go through the trouble of, refiling and doing all of that. But I guess they're staying with their hours, and they will not be participating in the open restaurants program. They are building the community relationship and will provide any future job postings to the Bushwick Jobs Board. Next up, we had Osito Tavern LLC, located at 259 St. Nicholas Avenue. This is on the corner of Bleecker and Menahan Street. The establishment type is a bar tavern. This is a very residential area. It's surrounded by St. Bridget's Church, PS 81. You have a big, large family community surrounded by this area. So the business owners have expressed their hours as follows: 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday, 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. Myself and the committee mindfully try to suggest, the hours to be changed and amended to be Monday through Wednesday until 2 a.m. and Thursday through Saturday until 4 a.m. And of course, Sundays until 12 a.m. No sales of alcohol. We have not received an amended application with these changes. So just want to say that now. The owner was said okay in the meeting, and something must have changed, but that was not communicated to us or to Kimberly. We have not received these amended hours. And as we know, a 4 a.m. On a residential block Monday through Sunday is a bit too much. And, we want to be mindful. And I hope that they're here today to maybe share a little bit about why they haven't submitted the amended hours. We did encourage them to share any job opportunities on the Bushwick Jobs Board, and to get to know their neighbors, to actually do some intentional outreach because they are in a very residential area. Lastly, we had Filthy Diamond, 679 Knickerbocker Avenue, between Cornelia Street and Putnam. This is a bar tavern looking for a full liquor license. This owner has lived in Bushwick for 5 years. But also is hoping to open up a bar that serves as a creative space. There will be plants, a florist kind of component to this establishment, which is interesting, and very excited, woman owned. The hours of operation and sales of alcohol hours are as followed: Monday through Wednesday from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m., Thursday through Saturday from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m., and Sunday from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. And they submitted their amended hours last week. And we did inform them of our stipulations of our outdoor spaces being closed by 10 p.m. And the owner agreed, submitted all of that last week, and will continue, has already started to work on building community with local artists and businesses in Bushwick, but will continue to do some more engagement with residents and the 83rd. And then we had some committee mail review, but we're going to dig in and talk about that at our next meeting. Just talked a little bit about new business. I know that Celeste brought up in our last meeting of just including the 83rd into our meeting spaces. And I think ultimately as a committee, we decided it might not be the best idea to have the community affairs unit present at every single meeting. I think there should be a separate dedicated space to talk about these things. And then also just want to make mention that we moved our meeting that landed on Election Day, November 8th, to Monday, November 7th. So please, if you haven't already, confirm your attendance. And I think that's it. The one thing I do want to just highlight is the Assemblywoman did join the meeting in regards to quality of life concerns and disturbances around, where she lives, which is Willoughby, where there are multiple businesses utilizing the same address after doing some research. And so we're working together with Mr. Camacho, Celeste, Kimberly, and the 83rd to get the facts and to get the information so we can, make the best decision as a whole to see how we can best support when there are, parties happening that shouldn't be happening. We don't know the full the full picture and all the details, but we're trying to get to the bottom of it and best support our assemblywoman and the people who are living there, because there shouldn't be a reason why people are not getting their sleep at night, why they're getting, why there is just like an abundance of noise and chaos happening outside of these establishments. So that sums up my report. If anyone has any questions or anything they'd like to add. Thank you.
Yes, hi there. Good evening. This is Z. Navo, I do have a question to ask you. That first establishment that you mentioned, ma'am, can you tell me again, where is it located? Between Melrose, you said, or something at first?
Jefferson and Melrose, 86 Central. That's it's a corner cafe. It's right on the corner.
Oh, okay. So the address is 86 Central?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because around where I live, there's so many right now, and talk about sleep. That's what I'm missing right now. So that's why I just want to know here, here's another one who wants liquor and so forth. I mean, before you know it, we're going to become the biggest brewery again in Brooklyn. But thank you for that. I just want to know exactly where was that location.
No, thank you, Z. The location's a coffee shop, so it's not a full liquor license. It would just be beer and wine. So nothing getting out of hand, I think, at a coffee shop. That's the hope.
Hope. Thank you.
Thanks, Zuma. We have Mr. Ceballos, and then I know we have a business, at least one business on this evening. Mr. Ceballos?
Yeah, I want to mention something because I live in those area, and we have to consider to pay attention when the business is in the residential area, and it's a lot of business around there. We have to pay attention on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ceballos. Yeah, we take a lot into consideration, especially understanding the location and how that might, affect families and people living there.
All right. And the business, which business do we have on, Kim? Osito Tavern. If the business owner would like to introduce themselves and just share a little bit, this would be the time to do so.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, okay. My name is Kate Steinmetz. I'm one of the business owners at Osito Tavern. And we expected that our amended hours were put in. I guess it must have been a miscommunication between us and our lawyer. So that was news to me that our hours had not been amended and submitted. So I'm sorry about that. And I'm trying to clear it up with him now. So I just wanted to answer that question for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments for this committee report? I see Stephanie Anderson's hand.
Yes, where is the African restaurant?
Yes, so the West African restaurant, I want to make sure I'm correct. The location is going to be right on Broadway. It's 911 Broadway between Arian Place and Melrose Street. It used to be a juice bar, and now it's a restaurant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Going once, going twice, anything in the chat? All right.
So what's gonna happen with this in regards to recommendation 259? Huh?
That's for recommendations.
No, I know, but if they didn't amend their hours of method of operation in accordance to the committee,
So the committee, we would just have to make the board would have to make a recommendation based on what the committee put forward, the usual steps for everyone during recommendations.
yeah, because we don't want them to be a discrepancy, and the liquor authority turns around and give them those hours, or we would have to speculate and write on there that they didn't amend their hours and they didn't, to try to slide it and want to make sure that we give them what the community normally does. So we want to make sure that that's,
It seems like that was the intention with the business owner that just clarified it was a miscommunication. So the board will be able to address that during recommendations.
thank you.
All right, seeing no other hands, seeing no other questions or comments, we will move on now to housing and land use. Thank you, Melissa.
Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me this time.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Great. Okay, so the Housing and Land Use Committee met on Tuesday, September 27th. And we had one primary item for consideration. It was an update on the NYCHA Seniors First Linden Grove development. This is a project that has come before the community board before. And so I think a lot of people will be familiar with it, but I think what was very helpful is that the team behind it came before and gave us updates on it. This is also the project that, as Celeste mentioned early on when we were going through the budget requests, this is the first project that HPD has approved using community space for no rent as part of the whole project. And this is, I think, something that we had been asking for, and I think that's a real win. So it's a 13-story, 152 unit apartment building for seniors. The entire thing is Section 8. So that means that nobody will be spending more than 30% of their income, no matter what their income is. And the AMIs, the area median income, is from 0 to 45,500, which is 50% AMI. 30% are for formerly homeless seniors. That's 46 units. 70% are will be marketed to seniors in the community. That's 106. And then 25% will have a preference for existing current NYCHA residents. That's 27. So I think, again, this is a project that has come before us before. There are some, it's been designed to allow people to age in place so that seniors can stay there. JASA is going to be supplying the supportive services to allow that the seniors will need. And then, so that's basically, those are the basics. And I think this is something, you know, we've had a lot of conversations at this community board in the Housing and Land Use Committee about affordability, about senior housing. It's between Linden and Grove, right at Hope Gardens. It's the old parking lot. It originally came before Housing and Land Use, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. It was when the city was starting to look at spaces that could be redeveloped for more affordable housing. And so that's when it first came before us. So we have been following this project for several years. A lot of questions came up. Parking, for one, there will be no parking. And I think that's a conversation we also had a lot. And one of the questions that we had asked, and that has been the answer people gave, is that in senior housing, people tend to underuse the amount of parking that's allocated. We ultimately decided as a committee that more housing for seniors is more important. Construction noise. This is going to be built as modular, so they're not going to be driving piles. So I think the surrounding neighbors will not be hearing as much. I mean, of course, there's going to be noise, but they're going to be shipping in units of the apartment. I mean, it sounds like Lego to me. That's obviously, it's more sophisticated than that. But and then finally, we said, you know, we will ask you to come before us as a community board and as a committee with some regularity, just to check in on this process. But anyway, that was the primary item. We did some committee mail review, but there wasn't anything that was pretty major. The next meeting is Tuesday, November 25th, and I hope you all can come. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them all.
Just a point of clarification, you meant the October 25th, Anne.
I'm sorry, yes, forgive me.
All right, it's going to be virtual on Zoom, so you can find the information either in the board's newsletter or you can contact the board's office for additional information.
And two very brief last points. It's an interesting project. It's in the little PowerPoint / PDF that where you can see this project and see what it looks like is in the committee mail or the project materials on the community board. And so Celeste and Kimberly can share that access, and also a huge shout out to Kimberly for making such terrific notes.
All right, excellent. If there are no other questions for housing and land use, going once, going twice, we will move on. Thank you, Anne. And now we're at recommendations, and I believe we only have from economic development and permits and licenses this evening. So does anyone need Melissa to go through the hours again? Does the board want a blanket vote on the recommendations? I know there's the one separate where the recommendation needs to be clarified as per the hours that were discussed during the meeting that were not confirmed due to a miscommunication. That's for Osito Tavern at 259 St. Nicholas. So the committee recommended the hours of Monday to Wednesday to 2 a.m., Thursday to Saturday to 4 a.m., and Sunday to 12 a.m. Those are the standard hours that are recommended, even though they initially came in with 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. One of the owners was on today. They indicated that they intended to comply. There was just an issue. They were not aware. The attorney did not follow up. So again, that was, to my understanding, that was the committee's recommendation. Is that correct, Melissa? For the
Yes.
hour? Okay.
And of course, the outdoor stipulation to be closed by 10 p.m., which is included in the report.
Okay. Does anyone need to hear the usual stipulations, or is there a motion for a blanket vote?
I just want to abstain from the first one. This is Z.
Okay. We don't have anything to abstain from yet, Z. We need a motion.
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry, apologize.
No problem. We'll get there. Is there a motion from anyone on the board for a blanket vote? Or we can go through all of them individually. The blanket vote will just speed up the process.
I motion for a blanket vote.
I second.
Okay, Tanisha and Ann, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, so moved. All right, now we need a motion for the recommendation. So this would be a recommendation based on what the committee already reviewed earlier, the hours, the no amplified music outdoors, etc. Is there a motion on the committee's recommendations from the board?
Yes, to make a motion on the recommendation and the hours.
Oh, Mr. Camacho, motion, Felix Ceballos seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, so moved. Thank you, everyone. No, anything on the chat? Nothing on the chat. All right, I believe that concludes our recommendations this evening. Nice and easy. We'll move on now to old business. Any old business? Going once, going twice. Any new business? Going once, going twice. Announcements, a minute and a half. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand if you have an announcement. If you are here in person, we will bring you the mic.
Have two here.
Yes, we have 2 announcements in person, and then we'll move on to Zoom when you're ready.
Hi, again, Lacey Tauber, Brooklyn Borough President Reynoso's office. I'll be very quick. October has been a fun month at Borough Hall. We had an Adopt a Pet event. We hosted the Brooklyn Book Festival. Last week we had our Latino Heritage event. We have some fun events coming up. Actually, tomorrow we're having our Polish Heritage event in the evening. So if that is a Come and celebrate. You can find all these kinds of events on the public calendar on our website, which is brooklyn-usa.org. We also have some interesting stuff going on the legislative side. We just co-introduced 3 bills about truck traffic, which address some things about air quality, which was raised earlier. Specifically requiring air quality monitoring in areas of heavy truck traffic, studying feasibility of integrating GPS with the truck route to make compliance easier, and redesigning the truck route network to improve safety and reduce traffic congestion and emissions. We're going to have weekly constituent walk-ins every Wednesday now from 9 to 3 at Brooklyn Borough Hall. So if you want to come see us, you can do it at those times. And follow us on socials, BKBP Reynoso on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And excitingly, we have a new email newsletter that you can sign up at the website, brooklyn-usa.org. That's it.
Hi, I'm Fran from Councilmember Sandy Nurse's office. I forgot to introduce myself. I brought a bunch of flyers for all of our upcoming events. There are many. To highlight the important ones, we are having an emergency storm preparedness town hall tomorrow at Hope Gardens Community Center from 6 to 8 p.m. It is a chance for everyone to talk about the flooding happening in your neighborhoods, ask questions, voice concerns, strengthen numbers. We will also be giving away storm barrier protection for free. So if you missed the town hall tomorrow, we're giving them away again on Saturday. So there's information on that there at this table. We also have a resource event for asylum seekers and immigrant families. We're having a housing rights festival on November 6th. We are having a movie night for Halloween, Hocus Pocus. There's also a haunted Highland Park event for kids and families. So a lot of stuff. Read our newsletter, check out this table. Don't miss out.
All right, anyone? Yes, we have some folks. Angelica Colon, and then we have some other folks as well. Angelica?
So for District 34, we have our trash force and it is in full effect. We have 2 cleanups coming up. October 22nd, we have a community cleanup and we'll be meeting at Knickerbocker Avenue and Star Street at 12 p.m. And the DSNY van will be joining us as well. We also have another cleanup October 29th, and we will be hosting an e-waste event. Please bring your old electronics to Knickerbocker Avenue and Saddam Street. Please save the date for our town hall on November 29th at 6 p.m. It will take place at St. Paul's Church in Williamsburg. More details to follow. We have a Halloween event that we are going to do. It's called the Spectacular Event on October 31st at the Moore Street Market from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And our office is still collecting ideas for participatory budgeting. As of right now, our district has 73 ideas. Please submit any ideas on our website or contact our number. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Diana Romero.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great, thank you. Yes, I'm a professor at the CUNY School of Public Health, and I wanted to share information with you all about a collaboration we've just recently launched that's supported by the New York City Department of Health. It is called the Health Equity and Access to Care Project, or HEAC. I have posted some information and a link about it in the chat, and we'll also send detailed information to the district office. But essentially, we are conducting focus groups with New Yorkers across the city. It's regarding their experiences accessing healthcare. We are particularly interested in racial, ethnic, citizenship, and health insurance status differences and experiences across these groups. Participants will receive $40 for participating, and the goal is, after the project is completed, which will involve possibly up to 100 focus groups in collaboration with the health department to help inform health departments' recommendations around policies, not only in city hospitals, but also private hospitals, hospitals across the city, and how more equitable care can be provided across the city. So I just request that you spread the word if you don't mind. As I said, I included a link to the screener that any New Yorker can fill out to express their interest in participating. And we're making these kinds of presentations both at general community board meetings as well as Health and Human Services committee meetings to really try to engage as much as possible across communities in the city. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Ms. Chambers, Danielle Chambers.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to listen and to be a part of the meeting tonight. I have a couple of key announcements that I'd like to share. To those of you who've been around for a while, you know that we are culturally influenced by films, and this festival will be the 15th year that the Bushwick Film Festival will be happening. And this year we are gracing the Williamsburg Cinema, and it will start on November the 1st through the 7th. We're all excited. As you know, Kwebe Koti has been on part of the community board for many years. And I, Danielle, have been around for a few years as well. So we're looking forward to all of you. Please come join us. The website is, of course, www.bushwickfilmfestival.com, and you'll get all the information that you're interested in terms of tickets, the times, etc. So we're looking forward to our community coming out. This is our community. Come out, support us, and let's have a great time. Number 2, I am member of Calvary and St. Cyprian's Episcopal Church, 966 Bushwick Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. And we are hosting on Friday, October the 28th, from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. All you swingers, oldies but goodies night. Put on your dancing shoes, come out and have some fun. The tickets are $45 a piece. You get a lot. You get live music, you get a DJ, you get something to eat, and yes, you get something to drink. So you can bring your family, your friends, all those people who like to dance and talk about the old times, the good old times, which we all know a lot of them. Let's get with it. Let's have some fun. And I do appreciate this time, and you all have a real good evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was perfect. All right. And I see no other hands, no other comments. All right, so we will wrap up our announcements this evening, and we will move right to our second roll call. Board members, please be ready. Carlotta Williams is excused. Hannah Wade.
Present.
Jerry Valentine.
Present. Good night.
Benjamin Tucker. Leo Teneo. James Stewart.
Present. Have a good night.
Annette Spellin. Dustin Sonborn.
Present.
Maria Soler. Barbara Smith. Bernadina Shell.
Present.
Alicia Ruiz.
Good night. Have everyone.
We
love you too.
Present.
Kyle O'Rourke.
Present.
Gilman Navoa.
Present. Good night, everyone.
Demi Namir. Desmond Monroe. Imani Mitchell.
Present.
Mary McClellan. Cassandra LeVay.
Present. Have a great night.
Kobe Kofi. Nicholas Kaplan. Luisa Jose. Virgie Jones.
Present.
Cheryl Jones.
Present. Good night.
Lisa. And Tanisha Honeygan. Barbara Jackson.
Present. Good night.
Sorry, Tanisha present.
Present. Good night.
Joanna Fuentes. Freddie Fowler. James Fitzgerald.
Present. Good night.
Felix Ceballos. Melissa Carrera.
Here, thank you, everyone.
Robert Camacho. Raul Brown.
Present.
Joanna Bennett. Grace Yates. Stephanie Anderson.
Present. Have a good night.
Lisa Abney.
Celeste, you didn't call my name?
I did.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, well, I marked you present. All right.
Celeste, this is Raul. Did you get me too?
Let's see. I did not. I had you marked as excused. I have you now.
Okay.
Oh, got
Hi,
you, Bob.
Celeste. It's Tanisha. Did you hear me?
I did.
Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Motion to adjourn from the board.
I make a motion to adjourn. Raul Rubio.
Second.
Raul made a motion, second by Barbara Jackson. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Get home safe, everyone.
8:52.
All right.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.